Hello everyone and welcome back to Top Grade. My name is Spencer Miller and today I am so excited to introduce to you a selection of brand new Canadian books for high school readers for the fall 2023 season. We've got so many great books to talk about today, so let's get started. Our first book, Dragging Mason County, is published by Annick Press and is the debut novel from author Curtis Campbell. This novel examines all of the realities of small-town queer life and the transformative power of drag. It's about two queer teens who set out together to throw the first ever drag extravaganza in their small rural town, and all of the ups and downs associated with such an endeavor. When they start to face angry backlash from community members, Peter starts to question if the whole thing is even worth it, or if his friendship with Alan is even going to survive. Campbell writes with all of the flair of a drag performance. As you read, you can expect a lot of humor, a lot of drama, and a whole lot of style. I don't think I could talk about this book without openly acknowledging that drag events and drag performers have faced an onslaught of homophobic hate and bullying across the country this year. And so the timing of this book couldn't be any better or any more important. Let's make sure that we are celebrating drag and drag performers and help get this book into the hands of all the readers who need it. Is the Apocalypse from Commandeer Press is written by author Susan Curry. Sometimes when I'm reading YA, I meet a protagonist who reminds me why I wanted to be a teacher and why I love working with teenagers. Is just one of those protagonists that is going to stay with me, and I know is going to mean a lot to so many young readers out there. While having everything stacked against her in the foster care system, there's a little piece inside Iz that tells her that she deserves better. In fact, it's telling her that she deserves to attend the most illustrious, most prestigious music school there is. However, while Iz has the talent to get in, she doesn't have the grades or the reference letters or the tuition fees, and so she fakes it, breaking 100 rules along the way to make her dreams come true. And as you read, the pressure just rises and you will find out whether or not Iz pulls it all off or if everything comes crashing down. This book really had me on the edge of my seat, while also giving really important time and attention and care to the details of the foster care system and how it works. There are so many students in care who will see themselves in the pages of this book and be inspired by Iz's story. This book is also perfect for anyone who loves music. If you know a student who loves music, pass them this book and they might fall in love with reading too. In Search of April Raintree is a timeless story from Métis writer Béatrice Moissonnier that is now available in a special 40th anniversary edition from Highwater Press that includes a brand new foreword from author Katerina Vermette. This touchstone of Indigenous literature has inspired countless Indigenous authors early in their career, including David A. Robertson, Dr. James Sinclair, and Rosanna Deerchild. This is a story about two young Métis sisters growing up in the foster care system. When placed into two different homes and given two very different experiences, one of them learns to embrace her Métis identity and the other tries to leave it behind. This is a story that examines what it means to be Métis, what it means to be Indigenous, in the face of institutions and systems that try and suppress that. This is a novel that should have been read and studied widely in Canadian classrooms for the last 40 years, but it hasn't been because of the way that we have quieted and left out Indigenous stories in our classrooms. With this new 40th anniversary edition, teachers have the opportunity to right some past wrongs and give this story the time, the space, and the attention that it deserves in our classrooms. Stay Up, Racism, Resistance, and Recalling Black Freedom is a nonfiction title from Annick Press, written by Cody Dill, with vibrant collage-style illustrations from Stylo Star. If you want to do anti-racism work with your students, this is the resource to have in your classroom, and I'm going to give you 2 reasons why. First is because Cody Dill is an educator himself. He knows exactly how to speak to young people about this topic. I was so impressed by his voice, the way that he uses pieces of memoir and storytelling and mixes it with theory and terminology to break down really complex and important topics around racism at a level that young readers are going to be able to soak up and understand. It's a highly engaging text that is also very honest with young readers. Cody Dill talks about his experiences dealing with rage and frustration as a Black man and as a Black educator in Canada. but he also offers a lot of hope and a pathway towards healing and liberation for young readers. The second reason is that Cody Dill is speaking specifically to Canadian students in a Canadian context, using a decolonial lens. Everything that he says pertains to exactly what our students are studying in their classes this year. It's so powerful to have a resource like this that is written especially for our Canadian students. And Cody Dill has gone above and beyond in supplying resources, discussion questions, lesson plans for educators that you can find at anicpress.com. Another excellent resource for teachers is Where They Stood, The Evolution of the Black Anglo Community in Montreal, published by Linda Leith Publishing. This collaborative work features 9 different essays written by young Black writers from the Black Community Resource Center. Each essay covers a new topic, so you can learn about everything from the history of Black immigration to the area, to the contributions of the Black Anglo community during World War II. Each essay has something interesting to cover, so as you plan to include more Black history in your classroom throughout the year, this becomes a really helpful resource because you could just pull out any one of these essays at any time and give yourself an interesting reading assignment with your students. As someone who spent the past few years living in Montreal, I can tell you that when I arrived there, I discovered so much important Black history that I never knew about, that I was never taught in high school, history that is relevant not just to students in Quebec, but to students all across the country, so don't miss your chance to check this one out. Our final book today is a memoir from Freehand Press titled The Definition of Beautiful and written by teenage author Charlotte Bellows. Charlotte Bellows wrote The Definition of Beautiful between the ages of 15 and 17, during the wake of lockdown and while in recovery from anorexia. She recounts her experiences as a high school student in Calgary, as she deals with false ideas of perfection. She talks about her experiences being masked in hospital during recovery from anorexia. She talks about the impacts that her illness had on herself and her family. It also explores ideas about coming out, about failing friendships. There is so much insight into the experiences and the challenges that teenagers are facing today in this memoir. As a high school teacher, I've been lucky to read so much fantastic writing from young people, but at the same time, you never get used to it. I'm always blown away when I read something like this written by a teenager. It's just really incredible work. I am so grateful that Charlotte was willing to share her story in such a personable and vulnerable way. It's something that's going to connect with so many young readers. As a teacher, I felt like reading this experience helped me better understand the struggles that many of my students may be facing. And so I really recommend it, not just to young readers, but to the teachers and librarians out there who care for them. Those are all of our books for today. On behalf of the Association of Canadian Publishers, thank you so much for watching. And we also want to give a big thank you to Ontario Creates for their continued support of the Top Grade program.